The senator from Arizona.
I ask that the quorum call, and it's unanimous consent that the quorum call be set aside.
Without objection.
Mr. President, let me highlight a few items that are in the NDAA conference report authorization that we're considering this week. In April of this year, my office came across a $115,000 marketing contract between the New York Jets and the NFL. The New York Jets and some other teams, but the contract with the New York Jets showed that the weekly hometown hero tribute was actually paid for by the taxpayers. Resulting investigation found that other taxpayer-funded tributes were not just with the Jets or with the NFL, but extended to other sports leagues, as well as the NCAA. We don't need this kind of paid-for patriotism. I should note that many in the NFL, many teams and others of our sports teams in other leagues do this out of the goodness of their heart. It is what it looks like. But in many instances, these tributes, these salutes to the troops have been paid for by the taxpayer. That needs to end. That's why I joined Senator McCain and Senator Blumenthal in adding an amendment to the NDAA that will bring an end to these taxpayer-funded salutes to the troops. Now, this amendment also encourages sports organizations that have accepted these funds to consider making a contribution to a charity that supports members of the military or veterans or their families. In addition, the NDAA conference report also prohibits the DoD from spending 25% of its sports-related marketing budget until they can show that the money that they're spending in this regard actually contributes toward their marketing goals or toward their recruitment goals. These results have to be reported to both the House and the Senate. That's a good thing. I want to thank the Pentagon, especially Undersecretary of Defense Brad Carson and his staff, for working with my office and others as we continue to investigate the scope of these taxpayer-funded tributes. Another item I want to mention in this NDAA bill, 22-year-old Marine Corporal Jacob Hugg of Phoenix was serving as part of the U.S. humanitarian mission to Nepal in response to the earthquakes in that country. In May, Hugg was one of 6 Marines and 2 Nepalese soldiers who were killed when their helicopter crashed during a mission to deliver food and aid to the victims of the earthquakes there. Now, because Jacob died during a humanitarian mission, Jim and Andrea Hugg, his parents, were informed that the DoD was not authorized to pay for their flight to Dover Air Force Base to be on hand when their son's remains returned to the United States. Currently, the military is only authorized to pay for next of kin travel expenses if the service member is killed in action. That's not right. The Huggs did get to travel to Dover because many in the Arizona delegation worked with DoD to make sure that the costs were eventually paid for by DoD. I worked with Senator McCain to amend the NDAA to ensure that no other family has to go through this. That if the family of a service member serving on an overseas humanitarian mission is killed, that the additional hardship is not faced by their family. So this amendment pays for the next of kin to travel to meet the remains of deceased relatives if they are killed in humanitarian operations. I hope that we can approve this NDAA in the coming days and that we can send it to the President. I hope the President will sign it. And with that, I yield back.